Hello, my name is Daryl Bachmar. This is a speed design presentation. On the left-hand side, I have Visual Studio Code open. On the right-hand side, I'll have a live preview of the website I'm building. The website design will be an Italian restaurant. It'll have 3 pages, and I'm doing this completely from scratch. I'll be using CSS Grid, and I'll show many different resources online. So what I've got so far is I have the folder structure ready to go. I've started with the first HTML page, and now I'm doing the CSS grid layout. I'm going with a 4-column layout, so I'm just going to specify which component will go where. I know I'm going to have a navigation on top, I'm going to have some content, and then I'm going to have a footer section and a copyright section at the bottom. But a lot of what you'll see will change as I go. I'm making a lot of design changes as I go. So prior to starting this, I spent about half an hour just looking at some inspirational sites, some existing restaurants, and I made some notes for myself and to help with the design. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start laying out the sections. I'm going to add some color later just so I can really see where every piece is going. So for the CSS file, I'm doing the grid layout first. So I get the components, and then I'm going to add a lot of the format for the fonts and etc. Of pure interest, I'm doing this on Manjaro Linux. It's my preferred operating system. So now I'm just going to add some background colors for each section, just adding the reference to the style sheet so I can see the changes as I go. Yeah, so I'm just adding some different colors so that way I can see what is laid out properly. I'm now splitting the footer into 4 columns. I want an About Us column, a Pages column, one for social media, and the recent blog posts. I'm going to work on the top navigation right now. I'll put some links in there. Just to all the different pages I'm going to create. I'm going to end up creating 3 pages. Just the home page, menu page, and a contact page. So now I'm going to a dummy text generator and putting in some text to help with the layout. And just adding some style to the footer. I decided at this point to add a title, but I'll make a change that later on. This is just the design as I'm flowing through it. Changing the colors so they're not so horrible. I will actually remove a lot of them, but it's just for me to see what's being laid out. At this point, I decided to add a page title. And I was missing one of the grid there, so that's why. Adding in the footer links, the same as the top navigation. And now I'm just going to add in some standard formatting for the page. The fonts I'm going to use the default font sizes. And the colors and alignment. Now I'm just doing the headings and what the padding I want for each of the headings. Just adjusting the size of the fonts for each of the headings. And the paragraphs. And now the link colors. Adding some comments to document my code. Gonna separate mobile and desktop. Adding some information at the top. I know I'll have to do the mobile layout, but I'll get to that later. Adjusting some of the colors. Sometimes I'm just off screen checking my notes or moving files around. In this case, at this point, I'm going to bring in the fonts and vendor libraries that I need. So I brought in Bootstrap, I brought in Awesome fonts. I also brought in jQuery. I didn't actually end up using Bootstrap or jQuery in this, but I will use Font Awesome pretty soon. So there's lots of really great resources out there, lots of different fonts you can use. Font Awesome is one of many that allow you to bring in images really efficient into your design. So there I was adding Bootstrap, and then I decided I'm not going to use it. I'm doing it all from scratch anyways. So just adding the copyright at the bottom. And just centering text. Adjusting the footer a little bit for padding. Now I'm going to remove all those colors to then work on the design for the site. So I decided to go with blue color, use that color picker there. There's lots of great ones out there. And just sort of playing with the colors. Alright, so I went to Pixabay and found some free images. So you see me just looking for any Italian food or restaurant images or cocktail images. Pictures of chefs. So then I just downloaded the images. I'm not going to use them all, but I just like to get some resources for inspiration. So at this point I wasn't really sure which ones I would use or not. So the structure is pretty much there. Now we're just going to bring in some images and make it look a lot nicer. So what I'm doing now is I'm just opening up a terminal, and then I'm going to bulk convert all of the JPEG files to WebP just to have a bit more performance on the site. Alright, now I'm just removing the JPEGs. I'll rename the files as I go. So I wanted to use this image as the banner at the top. So now I'm just going into Gimp and just resizing the image. And then I wanted to add an overlay of color on top of it. So you can do this in different ways. You can do it either in the image editor or you can do it with CSS. As I was trying to do it as quickly as possible, I just did it in Gimp. But you'll see I make a mistake and really wish I did the overlay. Okay, just resizing it so it fits properly. It's always best to resize the image in the image editor rather than do it with CSS, because that way you don't unnecessarily have these large images that you don't even really use. Okay, so what I'll do is I'm going to create 2 rows here with text on the left and an image on the right, and so I went with this image of the chef. It just spoke to me. It seems like he's happy and proud of the food he's creating for a small business. Just resizing the image. Now here I am editing the posts in the footer. I wanted to see about 3 posts, and so now I'm creating a temporary image for those posts just to help with the layout. So now I'm going to use that font awesome and add to the design. I used this one because I've used it in a previous project, so I'm going to just find what are the icons I want. I wanted all the social media ones. So I'm using font drops. You can just toss a font in there. You can see everything you might want to use. Just need to provide the right codes. Now I'm just going to style the footer links a little bit. And then I decided I wanted another row to go underneath this, underneath the chef, just to add a bit more to the design. Looking for the next image I was going to use. And then just scaling it. I like to try resizing the browser to see how things change. So yeah, here is where I do overlay in Gimp and make my first spelling mistake, I think. That's what happens when you go too fast. Yeah, just designing the layout, adjusting the colors. I wanted to change the headings a little bit. I like the yellow and blue together. And using the developer tools to see what the change might be before you actually edit the code. So now I'm going to grab images for the blog posts in the footer. Just resizing them, and then I'll add them now. There we go, that's starting to look a lot better. Just adding some detail. And then I realized I wanted to change the dates. I want the most recent at the top. Just adding in some links there. Now I'm going to style the top navigation. Because I want it to be horizontal and I want it to be centered, and add some nice padding between them. Just adjusting the images here because the text and the images were overlapping with each other. Again, using the developer tools to play around a bit. Now I'm starting to look at the mobile design. So I just copied everything I had from the desktop layout for this page, and now I'm going to put everything in a single column. I found that using the developer tools wasn't working for me, so I end up, you'll see later on, I end up just resizing the browser to see how it changes. Here I have the browser open, and you can see the navigation at the top is red. That's just to see where the pixels change. I'll change it back. And just adjusting the layout. So there's the mobile layout. There we go. Always make some changes, but just testing. And now I'm going to add a contact page and a menu page. So all I did is just copied the home page, and I'm just going to edit the content. It's slightly different layouts, mostly just in the content. The header and the footer section will stay the same. Trying to figure out what the layout might be. Just gonna start adding in some menu items. Spelling mistake, I believe. I decided I want the content just to be one column. Just looking for other images and cleaning up what images I am not going to use. And just resizing again. And just quick and dirty centering the headings for each of the menu items. Just adding a few extra menu items. Coming up with names is really hard. So I end up looking off screen for a few ideas. Adding some dummy text. I might actually change the layout a little bit, maybe center the fonts a bit better, or center the menu items a bit better. Alright, so now I'm on to adding in all the links for the header and footers, just so they link together. And now I'm working on the contact page. So I will bring in an existing map image I already have from my personal site, and then I will work on the contact form. So just going to adjust the layout. Just removing some more images I don't need. And now I'm going to start working on the form. So I didn't use Bootstrap, but this is where it would come in handy because it would already have all the formats for these inputs. But again, I'm doing it all by hand, so. Just adjusting the layout. Decided I want the map on the top. There we go. Now layout's there. Now I'm just gonna work on the contact form. I wanted it to stand out a bit, not this much though, so I'll just adjust the colors. Now I'm just going to add CSS for the input fields. Just testing, make sure that the text area works. And style the button. There we go, that's looking better. Just adding some text for instructions. Just going to add the hover for the button. Again, when I don't know what color, I just pick something that I know and just play around to find what I'm looking for. I was going to use required, but then I didn't have CSS or the JavaScript for it, so I'm going to get rid of that. So now I'm just going through the pages, making sure they all look good, and just looking at the final version. So I actually did go back and put the CSS overlay on that banner. So just looking at the final layout, I think it's pretty good, for 3.5 hours. I did take breaks, of course, but not bad for a day. I think if I would add to this, I would probably turn it to a Django app, and then I could maybe add some more functionality like reservation system. I might change that layout of the menu page. Maybe have split into 2 columns, items on both sides. And then, of course, if you add more functionality, you can create the form action. So that way you could submit a request and get it by email. Yeah, so that's the layout. I think it's pretty good. Hopefully you found this video useful. If you do want to get in contact with me, you can find me on my website, zenbo.com, or you can leave comments below.